Bitcoin and Ethereum. Well.
Express elevator to hell. Going down. 1. Mark.
Not again.
Bye.
Oh man, yes, it's Bitcoin and Ethereum. You know, they're both collapsing as we speak. We're going to see a dead cat bounce, of course, and we're going to have some positivity coming soon. But we're going to talk about when we're going to see that. Where's Bitcoin going to bounce? When's Ethereum going to bounce? And when can we start seeing some sunshines and lollipops? Because as much as you can make money in this bear market, nobody wants to see it, right? Nobody wants to see it happen. But, it was destined to happen. We have to have these bear markets in between every single bull market that we have. So accept it, live with it, and move on. So yes, I know most of you are feeling like, oh, I'm going to vomit. Oh my God, this is horrible. What am I going to do? Right? Well, we've all been through this once or twice, except for the newbies, of course, right? If you've been around the crypto space, you know that this is happened before, and it will happen again for a while until, Bitcoin and Ethereum Bitcoin releases money, and Ethereum, takes over all of the finances for Wall Street, because that's coming. You just need just a matter of time, and we're going to talk about that more in the news rant. So make sure you pay attention for that video coming up. But before you do watch that video, make sure you hit the like, you hit the subscribe button, you watch this video all the way to the end, because it's very important information about where you're going to make the next trade, where or what you're going to do. It's going to be in this video. So stay tuned, right? All right, let's get on with it, mate, because hey, you know what? You want to see the bad news. Well, the bad news is, you can see that we broke supports, right? Remember, I told you guys that, we couldn't see Bitcoin break through this levels here, and same with Ethereum. We can't see it break through the $1,700 level, but it did, and that was it, right? We could not hold back, could not get back above those levels, and that's it. We just, Roll Express elevator down to hell, right? And it is probably not quite over. We might get a bounce here because, we're really far away from the EMAs and the moving averages, so the odds are we're going to get a bounce based on the 4-hour overextended move here. Now let's just extend this out because we want to see where this thing can go. If we go to the daily, and let's go to the weekly so that we can draw first the fibs, right, and then see how low this could possibly go. All right, so now that I got this zoomed in properly, I'm gonna set the fibs between this low and between this high of 69,000 even, wow, and then this low of $3,800, $3,850 basically. Okay, so you can see, right, the lowest we're probably gonna go with this is probably the 17,800. That's the craziest low, right? I think that Bitcoin could possibly make here. As for where we can head to before we actually turn around, you can see based on the weekly, we could probably see the 22, right? A little bit lower than that before we actually turn around. Now, that's probably, let's see here, the weekly. Oh, look at that, there it is. There's a nice, I bet you there's a nice juicy point there that we could end up going to. Let's go to daily and see where that is. What happened around that time frame? Yeah, there is some support there. There is some support here. Not a whole lot, but at least there's a little bit, right? That we can hang our hat on, right? Where we can see basically Bitcoin decide to hold the line. We could also take these tops, the last tops here, as a hold the line kind of deal as well for Bitcoin. So let's just see what the price action does. You can see that we're also on the daily overextended. Basically, it's way outside the Bollinger Band, right? So there will be a moment where Bitcoin reverses here. The best thing to do is always go to the 5 minute before you can see, to really find that overextended area, and then check for volume and so forth, right? You can see there's a lot of green volume, so this might be the reversal point at this point here. You see the green is coming up, so yes. And if we and yeah, you can see on the RSI there is divergence, lots of divergences happening here. So we could be at a point where, hey, you know what, this is overextended and time for us to take a look for a trade entry. I would say if this thing is overextended, right, we might see here this after this pump, because it usually tries to retest the bottom. You can see maybe the Hail Mary trade on the 5 minute. So this is on the 5 minute, of course, right? So because this is going to happen fast, right? You can take this, right? Oops, I put that backwards. Hang on, let me just undo that. There we go. Put that. I drew those fibs backwards. Let me just quickly correct that. There we go. 78.6 was a 23.6. You can take that. There's a nice, you could probably do 50x or 25x here, because the percentage that you could lose is very low at 0.7% right here. And if you want to take this trade in, and then you'd go 2 to 1, and then maybe hold it, see if it takes you a lot higher, because it is due for a bounce, right? Failure here, well, obviously, should it fail, right? You could retry your luck at a lower levels, right? Maybe down to the 2200 or something like that, but you walk away immediately. Should it break the lower level here, you can see where your stop loss would be. This is the only trade you can make. You can't go make these on the hourlies and stuff like that, because there's just too much volatility. On the 4 hour, you'd have to wait to see where it ends up. If you're looking for a higher time frame trade, there is no higher time frame trade at this time. The higher time frame trade was right up here, right, where you would take the short, or once it broke this area, and then that was it, right? So that was your higher time frame trade. Yes. So before we head over to Ethereum and so forth, right? You can see that the Rockin brainer gave you some indicators on that, right? That trade, you can see sell. There was a buy signal, but you know what? It looks like it was a false buy signal, because you know what? You have to drop the buy signals when we're in a bearish market, especially when you know that this thing has broken some support, and it's key supports, and that's it. Done. Game over. Okay. If you're interested in the Rockin brainer, you can do so. You could order it by heading over to payments.rockinbrainer.io. And if you're interested in DJ15 token, we're going to increase the number of tokens that you can have in order to be in our Telegram group, right? So make sure, right, you have enough tokens to stay in our Telegram group. Right now it's at 0.05. We're going to be increasing that in very short time frame, and we're going to might be making some changes, right, so that more of the DJ15 tokens are burnt. So we're going to allow for people to stay in the group by burning a certain number of DJ15 tokens, so that we can increase the value of it a little bit faster. So look out for that coming up in the future. So make sure you own some DJ15 tokens today. Head over to DaVinciJ15.com and click on DJ15 tokens to learn some more. Okay, let's head over to Ethereum. Again, we were talking about this area that, if it kept hammering it, that would be a bad thing. I know I tried to take a long into the lower part of the just above the $1,700 mark, and it did not do well. It failed miserably. It looked like it was going to possibly bounce here, but then nope, goodbye. So reversing the trade was the smart thing to do. Hopefully it did that. And then boom, there you go. It was an absolute like catastrophic nightmare of downward movement. This is like, wow. Is Ethereum bouncing off of this previous support that I told you around? It was 1,300 is where we were going to see some support. We're actually right now at the $1,200 mark, and yeah, hopefully we'll see this support level line actually to do something. Right now, it broke through the $1,300 support like it wasn't even there, and yeah, hopefully this $1,200 support is actually going to pan out to be something. We had some support at the $1,500 mark, but it wasn't destined to be, and there we are. We are even lower today. So, wow, unbelievable how we are. Like, I know it's. I mean, it was destined to happen. It just, every time I see these days where we have these bearish days, it just seems unreal. It's just like, because all the utility, the abilities of both Bitcoin and Ethereum, the future use cases of all these things just seems incredible that we would break down so much. But when the market goes overvalued, it has to go back and go undervalued as well. I didn't feel that it was super overvalued in my opinion, but what I feel is what's happening here is that we're being manipulated by the central banks, because they have to at this point. They have to. Starting since 2017, they had to start taking it seriously. Starting way back as then, probably even sooner earlier than that, they realized they had to be taking it seriously. And so they put everything in place in order to make sure that this thing is easy for them to manipulate down. Because, you know what, the reason why they need to keep the price action down is because price is what everybody looks at who do not have time to actually study what's going on with cryptocurrencies. So price is basically an indicator to them that, hey, I need to look over there. Price is going up, and it's constantly going up. I need to look over and find out why. Without that, right, nobody's interested, right? And they're not willing to spend the time to find out what's going on over there. But once price is going up and constantly going up, people will find out why. And yeah, so once they find out why, it's like taking the red pill, right? You wake up from the matrix and you go, oh darn, I gotta hold on to these things, like for dear life. And they don't need that. They don't need the average Joe learning how to hold their own wallets and getting their own private keys, because hey, that will be the death of them. Okay, so looking at what the price action is here, and finding out what we can do. We can turn on the Rockin brainer, see what it's saying here. Well, false buy signal as well here, but no buy signal down here, so not yet ready for it to turn around. Looking at the 15-minute again, because we cannot trade this any other way. And let's bring up some volume here. There is no volume. What the heck? Wow. There is absolutely no volume in this pump here, which is not good. But you can see that this pump is probably because we haven't seen any kind of like downward ever. Yes, we probably have a little bit of a pump. So this pump died, and so we might have a little bit of a pump, another little bit of a pump here before we actually roll over again. So we haven't touched a 200 period moving average on the 15 minutes, so wouldn't be surprised if we end up doing that before we actually roll over and go lower, or if this time fails because there is no volume here. All right, we're heading probably even lower. So the lowest point, right? Let's see here. How can we go any lower? I don't know. Jesus, but this is what we're seeing here. So let me just turn off the Rockin brainer indicator. Where did it go? Okay, let me just, there we go. There we go. Okay, so let's see where this thing can go by changing it to the daily. No, we're gonna have to go to weekly. Weekly on this thing. Oof. And you can see the 78.6 is probably where we're gonna have to bounce off of the 12, which is $1,100 mark. You can see that just above that there's a lot of there's a lot of support, so maybe we're gonna see some support here and bounce off of that, because right now on the weekly you can see we're bouncing off the 200 period moving average, which happens to line up with the support level. So this could be a point where we see a turnaround, right? So if you're interested in trading this, I would suggest you wait for, you know, Ethereum to probably break these lows here. I think it's going to break these lows just to piss you off, right? Before it actually takes off higher, because Ethereum is known for that. So if you're looking to get into an entry, you should wait. You should hunt some entries on the lower time frame below the $1,176 mark, so $1,176. Anything below that, you start hunting heavy. You start looking for on the 5-minute charts for any kind of W action, any kind of candlestick patterns, or anything that you can hang your hat on and hit the buy button if you want to take the risk of rolling, having it turn up and getting a bounce. I would not take the bounce any more higher than below the just below its last its pausing point, which is like around the $1,400 mark. So it's around $1,400 is probably where you should be looking to take profits on Ethereum should it bounce anywhere soon. And of course, maybe setting some stops to moving your stops up as this thing bounces, because you just don't know how high it's going to bounce should you decide to go for a long, because you're going against a trend, and the trend's your friend to the end. And so you have to realize that, hey, since I'm going against a trend, the odds are that you're not going to make a whole lot of money, because it's not going to go as high as you think. Alrighty, well, with that said, let's move on to the dominance. The dominance is dominating. You see, even though, right, let's head over to bubbles. You can see on the bubbles there is like some positive action here. We go to Bitcoin, as you can see, a little bit of positive action. Overall, the dominance has has continued higher with some strength here. And so, although we might get a rest period, but don't expect much of a rest period. You'll be lucky if we get back down to 45.7%, and but most likely we're just gonna, bounce above the 47.6% level for a while before we actually see any kind of next action, and most likely it's going to go higher, because Bitcoin is taking over. And yes, well, it's a sad situation, right? The market cap of all of the crypto has now dropped below $1 trillion for the first time ever. But that's okay, right? That's all right. We're going to be getting more Bitcoin eventually. We're going to be working with a little lane strategy. Not just yet. You might want to just hold off on buying anything, because we still have some more room for downward action on all the different alts. Yes, some of them will get green shoots and will pop, like we've seen here in the bubbles. But for the most part, they will be going down. So you don't want to be buying things too high right now, and you want to wait until you see some, like, anywhere from 80 to 90% discount, or more, maybe even more, on the alts before you start nibbling at the alts and seeing if you can catch close to the bottom, and get half on a double, sell half on a double, and get more Bitcoin, because you want more Bitcoin, because Bitcoin's real, Bitcoin's here to stay, and you need to be a part of it. Thanks for watching. Cheers.